Welcome to Beyond the Capital, the podcast series from Supertech that explores the professional services tech scene outside of London. This is a special 4-part mini-series in partnership with the Women in Finance Collective. And if you're listening to this through the Advisor Tech Show podcast feed, you're very welcome here and thanks for joining us. The Women in Finance Collective is a new network to promote and support women who work in finance and fintech across the Midlands. I'm Hilary Smith. In this episode, we're exploring how women can thrive in their careers and how to build a personal brand. And to find out more, I'm joined by 2 women who have each several decades of experience in fintech and financial services. Kim Jenkins, the Chief Operating Officer at the new fintech company called Afternoon. Also Liz Basten, the founder of marketing agency Kiss My Brand. Welcome to the studio. Lovely to have you here. Hopefully going to have a thoroughly rich conversation today around women in finance, obviously in partnership with the collective. Let's start with Liz. Tell us a little bit about your career journey.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm Liz Basten. I've worked in marketing for 30 odd years now in CMO roles for large corporates and fintechs, predominantly the last 20 years in fintechs, helping them with brand engagement, product launches, etc., and engaging with the public, speaking human, not finance. I'm on about working with my 7th or 8th fintech now.
Brilliant. And you're at the start of your own
Yes, I've just started my own business, Kiss My Brand, a year and a half ago, which was to offer support to organisations that need the expertise of a senior CMO, but don't always have the budget to have that full time, which has been a hugely exciting journey and a steep learning curve.
Right, we might touch on some of that. And then Kim.
Yeah, Kim Jenkins. So currently fourth into a startup for an AI-first operating model for financial advisors. I have worked in tech for 25 years. I pretty much left school and went straight into working in tech in the late 90s. I've always worked with customers of technology, adoption, onboarding, and just kind of gone from very beginning, working on support desks, right to kind of leadership, and now COO.
So being in fintech since before fintech was a thing?
Before fintech was even a word.
What do we even call it back there?
Financial services technology, which is long when you're, trying to introduce
it.
it.
Very abbreviated. Let's just get straight to the number point. Some of the key barriers that you think or have experienced or see in the workplace in terms of your journey or others.
I would suggest that part of the challenge is in the construct of organisations. Most of the founders of fintechs, CEOs and commercial leads are men. And I've often been the only woman on the board. And a lot of the behaviours and therefore the culture of the organisations can be male dominated. That doesn't mean that can't change. I think some of the other barriers are the fact that, let's be honest, a lot of the time women are the primary carers for children or looking after elderly parents. There's a lot more demands on women, no matter how much the offer is to share it 50-50. A lot of the time it does fall with the women. And then I think the perceptions of women in those roles can be a challenge if you've got the time to do it. And how we as women behave ourselves. We're not always the personalities that ask for pay rises. Lots of women I've worked with, when they're giving a point of view in meetings, will start the sentence with, "I'm sorry, but I just think I might have a perspective on this." So I think it's a confidence and perception issue within the environment that we work.
Yeah, I think we certainly did at Supertech some research on the founders of fintechs, and it is pretty much male, white, male, middle class, middle-aged, all of that. So just at the statistics, I mean, the average age is 47 of men. And that's not just a West Midlands phenomenon, it's a national one. So that certainly rings true. And in new perspectives for you, Kim?
Yeah, I think visibility would be the word that I would use. It takes more of a voice, as in to kind of make yourself visible. You have to demonstrate results anyway in a role, but you have to really shout about it. And I think you really need to kind of discuss with your peers what you want to do, because if you don't do that, the barrier is that you're not seen to be that right person for that role because you're female. And I guess the barriers for me personally, I saw a real lull in my career for about 8-9 years because I was between the ages of 30 and 38. So the expectation was maybe that I was going to become a mother, and I didn't. And I think that for me, reflecting on my career, was a real moment of kind of
plateau.
Plateau is a really good word. Yeah. And really fighting to try and have that visibility. And it was tiring at times to constantly go, look what I'm doing. And because then people think, oh, you're showing off. No, I'm not. I'm actually trying to progress. But yeah, very kind of dormant for a bit.
So how does one go about, if you take visibility then as a thing that perhaps you can take or try and have some control over, because culture harder, if you're trying to be a self-actualizing woman in the workplace, what could someone do? What would a listener think?
I think there are opportunities now because you're not confined to a meeting room to raise visibility. So in a digital world, I think your personal brand is important. And I think of personal brand as how people feel about you when you're not there, how they perceive you, and the communities that you're part of, the point of view that you have on your industry, sharing your learning experiences, sharing your aspirations in the right forums online can create that visibility and a personal brand that elevates you. And in the workplace itself, it's putting yourself forward. And I thought it was really interesting when you say, as a woman, you're like, sorry, I'm not showing off. No, you're not showing off. Put yourself forward. Can you imagine many men saying, sorry, I'm showing off? It's part of that mindset. So I think create your personal brand and be authentic and true to yourself. And I think that will help. The opportunities there now that were not there 20, 25 years ago to do that.
Is that how you read about it?
And it was the exact word that came into my head when we were talking about is personal brand. So one of the things I've reflected on later in my career, and maybe because we do have the platforms now to kind of promote ourselves, is that during that time, I wonder what would have been different if I did kind of personally promote myself on LinkedIn, do podcasts, do this kind of activity, and would have that elevated that visibility? Yes, I think it would have done. That was only like 6 years ago, but I do think things have changed over the last 5-6 years. I certainly feel it and see it. But again, I don't know if that's just because I've pivoted a bit.
Yeah, I think it's also, it's hard, isn't it, to try and put yourself back in 15 years or so to that mid-career professional, even perhaps early. And particularly in something like financial services, where it's so regulated and what you can and can't do. And particularly if you're in advisory, so in that wealth bit, that thou shalt not speak for the brand. So where do you? I want to use the word confidence, but I was like, how could you assure a listener the permission basis of which that what can they do when they're not going to get themselves into trouble? Because that would be my fear, and particularly in those contexts.
Well, personally, I think that is also seeking out other women. I think there's a role for women in this sector of financial services, advice, tech, to uplift other women. So joining communities like the Women in Finance Collective and others, I know in that community in particular, there are people in the first year of their career and there are people at the other end. And it's having that encouragement and looking at examples of where people have faced similar challenges and overcome them. Because I think talking to people just starting out now, some of the challenges are less, some are greater, and some have stayed the same when it comes to gender pay gaps and perceptions and so on. So I think seek out your tribe, seek out people that you admire, seek out people that will lift you up and you can connect with would be super helpful.
I suppose that sort of links nicely to thinking about mentorship. Is that something that you think is a powerful force? I'm trying not to lead the witness here, but what do you think about mentorship? So we hear about a lot in this type of conversation.
I'm going to be completely transparent here. I've not reached out enough. And I think if I'd had my tribe and felt a community earlier on in my career and felt that, I'd had that mentorship in that group, I think it wouldn't have that a little bit lonely at times at a senior kind of leadership level when you're the only lady in the room. But yeah, certainly I think I should do it more. there's always different perspectives and views on things. And I have to say, when mentors for me predominantly actually have been more male in my career and have found it very helpful. The ones that have actually been really forthcoming, I've very proud to have worked with some great CEOs of tech businesses that have taken their time and CFOs taken their time and spent time going through and mentoring me on things like commercials and things like that. And I will always remember them. But it kind of happened quite naturally. They kind of just was receptive of it. I'm guilty of not reaching out and going, right, this is my panel of people that I want to talk to. And I probably should do more of that.
And well, I think that you can have official mentors. You can have, people make a career out of being a mentor. And some people choose to do that and check in once a week and, a coach and
so that was sort of structure into it.
Yeah. But you can also have, and personally, I found this most valuable, unofficial mentors. Which are people that you admire. And I've worked with some incredible women and men that I've learned from. And I've also tried to pay it forward with people that work for me and around me. So I think, don't always think that I have to get myself a mentor. Just gravitate towards people you admire and look to learn from them. And then I think it comes naturally. Yeah.
Also, mentors, it could be very positive influence, but they're not a magic bullet, right? Are they? So, you still have to put in the hard work. And interested to see what you think about professional qualifications and professional development as part of supporting one's career progression.
Well, again, on a personal level for me, I know that some organisations have got a tick box. So you won't always get through the first level of a recruitment filter if you don't have a particular level of qualification. I didn't do it that way. I didn't go to university. I ended up doing a postgrad diploma in the evenings, and then I did my master's at 39. So, that you don't...
have kids as well, then?
I did, yes, very loved ones, which was hell. It was all worth it in the end. But it depends what you want to do. If you're going into a regulated industry, if you're going into a particular area, again, look at what's needed. If you haven't looked at something, offer to do it. Because a lot of companies will support you in that if it credentializes their employees. So yes, sometimes a necessary thing to have, but there are ways to circumnavigate it if you don't have it immediately, I would suggest.
Well, I never knew we did something similar, Liz. So I was the same. I actually didn't go to university. Left school, college, went straight into a financial advisor. Within a year, saw in a newspaper an advert for, which was then called First Software. And we had a little advert and I applied for the role. And at that point, I just had an MVQ 2-3 in business admin, my GCSEs. I wanted to be in tech. But immediately, soon as I was there, I did get that pull to go, I feel like I should have done uni or something like that. Not actually the experience of university, but the qualifications. So I studied in the evening, did HND in business and IT, and then topped that up at Coventry University in the evenings. Again, I didn't have children, but I did go clubbing a lot at the weekend.
I was totally the same.
I was like, how did I do this? 2 evenings a week, working full time and a social life. But I did it and it took me 5 years. But at the same time, I always remember coming to the end of that and going, I'm not in debt. I've got 5 years experience and I've got a degree under my belt, which actually played out really well because things like you would do a module on project management or business analyst kind of role. And I'd be like, oh, I've just done that on my lecture. And I'd be able to play that into my job. So when I talk to my nieces and nephews and they talk about their career, I'm like, and they talk about apprenticeships, I'm like, oh yeah, go for it. If that's what you want to do. And I think there should be more opportunities to do that in tech. Because traditionally, over the last 10 years or 15 years, it's been that university. But again, you apply for the bigger tech businesses and they are looking for, BA in or first in X, and it's a tick box exercise. So it's really hard to get some of these organisations. But I have learned, I don't know if we're allowed to name them, but very large tech business have actually taken off having to have a degree to apply for a role because it's actually not inclusive. Because you get some families who actually can't afford to send their children to university. So I'm all for apprenticeships. And then throughout my career, I've just done a bit of a diploma in consultancy because just to help my role. So I've always tried to do it relative to like what I'm actually working.
What you want to do next.
But haven't done a master's yet. And a bit scary of the price of it, to be honest.
Installments.
Yeah.
So that makes sense in a sort of traditional sense. But then there's this big AI thing happening, changing the workplace, changing the way people learn, etc. And that doesn't quite fit, I think, sometimes this traditional way of accreditation, perhaps. So I was interested in your views on what it's doing in AI and what the opportunities might be for people in the context of career progression.
I would suggest that the AI is the biggest industrial revolution of our time. So you can't ignore it, embrace it. I would also suggest that AI presents one of the biggest opportunities for women. There's a recent study by Harvard, of all people, who say that if you think of what AI is designed to do, which is to take out the heavy lifting, a lot of the admin work, a lot of the repetitive work, which in financial services organisations, a lot of women have held those positions over time. They will be free of a lot of those admin burdens. And what organisations are going to be needing are people with empathetic leadership, customer relationship building skills, customer engagement strategies. And often, not always, but often, that's a woman's strength. So I think understanding the role that AI can play in the workplace and embracing it, but then thinking about what that means in terms of opportunities, particularly for women in sector, is a great opportunity and something that I think everyone should focus on.
And you're obviously building an AI business.
Yes.
So you must have a view on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So from a learning perspective, it's absolutely bringing it into your world and embracing it and giving it a go. There is roles that we have not needed to recruit for because of AI.
Interesting.
And I don't know if that's because we do have some of the experience and qualifications in the business and domain expertise in the subject matter. So there we can then go and use the AI and really prompt it and go, that's not quite right.
You can drive it harder.
Because we've got expertise already. So I think from our perspective, you've just got to dive in and give it a go, but try and utilise it to the best of your ability, but don't worry about don't ask for help. So I'm quite fortunate because I work alongside a chief AI officer. He's late 20s, Midland based. His brain works completely different to mine. So I'm learning all the time because different model, I'm thinking multiple models and, so it's a world I still am learning about, but we have to embrace it. But I am seeing the impact of it on roles, administrative roles, but more analytical roles, research roles, typically are not being as needed as much in a startup business.
So it's an unintended consequence of AI for women, possibly.
Yeah.
If we're occupying those roles, but also an opportunity. I was just wondering if there's a gender difference between fear of it or adoption or utilisation.
I think there's a gender neutral fear of it.
Have you got any advice or tips for perhaps a mid-career professional who's feeling a bit stuck right now, not sure, wants to make that move? We talked a bit about personal brand, but any other experience or...
I'd reset your purpose. So I always think of this as the sort of man that I found attractive at 19 was not the same sort of man that I found attractive in their 30s and 40s. No, really not. Thought I could change them, never could. And I feel that what you want from your career can evolve, it can also completely diversify and change. So if you feel stuck, do you feel stuck because of the organisation you're in and the lack of opportunity or culture? Or is it in yourself what you want? So I think your personal purpose, your values, and where do I want to be? And then to work out, can I be that here? Or do I need to change? I know people that have moved from jobs as a prison officer to a paramedic in their 40s. And, I'm not suggesting such a drastic thing works for everybody. It might just be a slight shift in emphasis. But don't always assume that because you set yourself a career trajectory, that it's a prison sentence. There is a big wide world out there, and you can pivot and change. Yeah, take a leap of faith in yourself as well, I think is
what do you want to be when you grow up? Faster working it out.
Yeah. And whether you've got a family or whether you haven't got children, if you want to spend more time doing other things, how can you weave all that into your life? I think there's a real social media and societal issue with this. You can have it all. And at a certain age, a woman should be an amazing wife and mother and smashing the career and leading the charge. And that's BS. Nobody has it all. Nobody. And if they project that they do, then they're not telling the truth. We're all getting by as best we can. But I think having that self-awareness of this isn't working for me, or this might work for me and I'm going to give it a go, and the confidence to see it through is just invaluable if you feel stuck.
Mm-hmm. So looking ahead, final thoughts, what skills do you think are invaluable for the future of women in finance to try and be able to thrive in future?
I think the AI evolution is key for women looking to take on a career in finance. And I think that, again, appreciating what AI can do for you and how you can celebrate your strengths and how you can use it to do that is hugely important. And I also think having a strong digital persona is going to be really important in entering the world of work in the future. Organisations will be asking an AI to have a look at your digital profile and to assess you and what's your point of view on life. And, what sort of things do you stand for? What are your values? And being able to project that in an authentic
control of it.
way. Yes. Don't project that you're some kind of social butterfly screaming from the rooftops, how wonderful I am if you're an introvert, but celebrate the fact that you are perhaps more analytical, that you enjoy work, but you still deliver. So I think being authentic and using the tools out there would be something I would tell my daughter to have a look at.
Yeah. And I would pick up on the word you use, deliver, because it's great having this digital kind of persona, but when you are in a business, you need to deliver.
Perform.
So the skill set is still absolutely needed. Yes, we've got AI to do some things, but continue in delivering results for that business, however you go about it, because from a career perspective, we still need to see those proof points, whatever tech we're using.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming and joining me here. It's been
Thank
an
you.
absolute pleasure.
That's great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
That was Kim Jenkins, the Chief Operating Officer at Afternoon, and Liz Basten, the founder of marketing agency Kiss My Brand. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Capital from Supertech and our special 4-part mini-series in collaboration with the Women in Finance Collective. We're also on the Advisor Tech Show podcast feed, so if you're listening there, thanks for joining. I'm Hilary Smith Allen. Please follow us on your favourite podcast app, and if your app supports it, please give us a rating and review.